Here they come.
Jake has told us so much about you.
He's told me so much about both of you, too.
And you came anyway?
What did you think the first time you read this script? Because I can't imagine it was like, oh, that's great, got it, let's go. There must have been some sort of reaction to it. There's so much going on.
I despise, okay, that's it, I've got it, let's go. Generally, I like things to be a little more complex than that. I just found it unbelievably poetic and brave and bonkers. Yeah, I had to read it a couple of times and I had to speak to Charlie to like fully... The thing is, you can watch it and you could make all kinds of assumptions about what's going on or just kind of hone in on different things depending on your life experience and who you are. So he's very reluctant, Charlie, he has to talk about it with us, but to kind of predetermine people's experience of it because it is so kind of abstract and, yeah, I don't know how to talk about it.
I think bonkers is a good word because I remember I watched it and sort of went, I do not know what I just saw. But the next day I was like, I have so many ideas about what I just saw.
Yes, it's a great conversation starter. It will make people think and appreciate and wonder. I just think actually the film is very reflective of Charlie himself. He's such a sensitive, complex kind of filmmaker, and the story is jam-packed and just imbued with so many different ideas. It's not like it's like way out there. I say bonkers because the ground kind of keeps moving and it's not always obvious, but that's a great thing. It's very freeing as an actor to not have anything kind of holding you in. There were kind of no rules.
Well, that's what David said in the notes. There's no rules of filmmaking or acting apply when you launch into this material, and that must be exciting.
Very much so. And we all felt that way. So it made it even better because there are some scenes where all four of us are talking and it feels like a conversation, but it's also like stream of consciousness, like we're all part of the one mind. And for all of us to kind of have this reverence for Charlie and for the material and wanting to make it as great as possible, it just made us, I don't know, want to be there for each other. We had to be. It was like the best possible acting experience.
Oh, great. Jake's mom, you play her in kind of multiple bursts and forms, I guess we would say. Some of them older, younger, some of them feel like memories. How do you approach playing a character like that when you're playing her in so many different iterations, but also through so many different lenses of other people? I don't know if that's a question that makes sense, but maybe people see the film, it'll make more sense.
It will make more sense. And it's very difficult to talk about because I don't want to give anything away, but the question makes absolute sense to me. Well, I think because, on my first day of shooting, I sat in this chair and I was in front of a green screen and I was going to be placed into a scene that they were shooting after I'd left and moved on. And I remember sitting there thinking, how do I go about this? I feel so disconnected from I don't even quite understand what it's going to be. So how can I contribute now? And Charlie just said to me, there are no rules in life. And that is literally what I ran with for the entire film. We all did. And that becomes incredibly freeing. And I guess my main concern was just having some kind of through line for the character in each kind of point in her life. But people change also. People can change in some ways and not in others. So you kind of couldn't go wrong. You know what I mean? It really was there was a lot of opportunity and a lot of different things to play with. And my biggest, I just didn't want to get to the point where I'm playing her at 92 and I just didn't want it to feel two-dimensional or that people were kind of looking at the prosthetics as a bit of a novelty. I still wanted people to feel the connection between Jake and his mum when she is that age. So I don't know. I don't know how people will feel, but when I watch it, I'm happy with it.
I mean, it's a great performance. And I think one of the very things that people can latch onto, even if they don't get the film or whatever, they see in the trailer, is the laugh that you deliver at some point. And I'm wondering, how did you come up with that laugh? It feels like you're putting your entire soul into it.
I think I just love working with contradictory elements. And this woman is trying to be effusive and trying to welcome this young girl into her home. And she's trying to give her son space, but it's clear that she's smothered him his entire life. And so there's so much push and pull that I kind of physically wanted, you want to see that she's trying and she's smiling and she's laughing and she's trying to engage, but it's also painful. As long as I had those two things rubbing up against each other, it seemed to feel right in the moment.
And, you've had a few excruciating dinner scenes on screen recently. And I was wondering who you'd rather have dinner with, Annie Graham at the peak of her hysteria or Jake's mom in one of her many iterations.
Oh, my God. What an offer. I'll decline on all. I'm washing my hair, lady.
You're not in for the ham dinner? No, not going to go there.
I mean, at least I'm thinking of ending things. It all kind of keeps shifting, but there would be no escape with that just was what it was. That wasn't changing. That was the thing. She was just eyeing it all the way to the end.
No, absolutely. So you're, I don't want to spoil things, but you're in sort of this film for a section and you weren't there every day on set. And I'm wondering, have you seen the complete thing now? And what was your reaction?
Wow. I mean, I read the script in its entirety. I knew what the story was, but it is unashamedly out there, and not in a kind of, not in any kind of shocking or manipulative way. It's just that life is change, and the changes come thick and fast in this, and they are kind of extreme, and it can be disconcerting, and a lot of people have been saying they find it unnerving, and that's probably a good way of putting it.
Yeah, I was unnerved throughout, so well done. It sounds like you were a fan of Charlie's work before you got to work with him, and I'm wondering, was there a film that he'd made in the past that was a favorite of yours, or that you really connected with?
I have loved everything that he's done, either as writer or writer-director, all of it. I think he is just an incredible mind and offers something so unique to film goers, and he's a true artist and a total inspiration. So, yeah, I mean, we almost worked together. We met a few times and emailed on other projects. I would say one of my favourite films of all time is Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. But I hadn't seen Anomalisa, and I watched it while we were making this, and I just loved it. It was so incredible. So everything he does is just, I think if you're an artist, say something, and he does. He takes his opportunity, and he really contributes.
Yeah. And you're about to work, or you're currently working with another great celebrated director, about which I'm sure you're not going to say anything. But I'm curious: had you shot any of Nightmare Alley yourself before the pandemic closing?
I tried on wigs. I tried on clothes. I tried Guillermo rehearsing with David Strathairn, and hadn't stepped on set, and then had to get on a plane and come home. So
those wigs and clothes. Are you excited to play this character?
Yeah, but I've had so long to think about it that it's becoming like, I don't even like to have a lengthy rehearsal period, because there's only so much you can say. It's all in the doing for me, and it's all kind of and in the moment, ultimately in the moment. So just having time to think about something for too long, I just don't like that. But anyway, you let go of it all, and whatever happens in the moment happens. So it's an incredible collection of actors, really talented people on and off screen, and the story is incredible. It's like a visual feast. It's going to look so just beautiful, like all of his pieces. And Guillermo, I mean, his energy is infectious. He has been creating this world for a long time, and I don't know what it's going to be like. I'm a bit scared.
We have a real connection, a rare and intense attachment. I've never experienced anything like it. I'm thinking of ending things.
Huh?
What?
Did you say something?
What was it about Iain Reed's book that appealed to you and made you think this is something I want to tackle?
A couple of things. One is I really liked the dreaminess of it, and two, I felt that it was doable on a smaller budget. It was very contained in terms of cast and locations, and I also liked the idea of being so contained, of having most of it in a car, even though there was something kind of scary about that. It appealed to me to like try to be able to figure out how to make that interesting, to make it work. So I'd say that those are the reasons.
Yeah. And so many of the themes, at least in the first part of your own book, Antkind, and for anyone watching, go and get Antkind. It's great if you love Charlie's work, seem to have bled in here, or at least there seems to be so much crossover. And I'm wondering, how much did 8 years of working on that novel affect your approach to this film?
That's a tough question. I don't know. I mean, I feel like maybe in some ways it was like a vacation to work on this because of the novel. In that sense, I felt less intimidated by the process because I've been writing so much for so long, especially towards the end of the novel when I was desperately trying to finish it. I was writing, for 4 or 5 hours a day, which is not something that I normally do. But in terms of themes, I guess there are probably themes that are in all of the things I do. Some of the themes are present in Iain's book already, and some of them, probably most of them, and some of them are things that I think about. Like, I'm not even sure. I'd have to think about the book and the movie. I mean, certainly like the aging thing and the memory thing and the fantasy thing and all of that stuff is kind of present in most things that I do. So.
And freeways, or at least highways. Highway life seems to be something.
You mean because they're the two driving things in the book? That's a coincidence.
Yeah, I just sort of.
Yeah, that's a coincidence. I mean, when I got Iain's book, I'd already was well into Antkind. So yeah, the fact that there's like a fast food place in Antkind and there's the other thing, the ice cream place, struck me, but it pre-existed, And I like it. I like both images. I like the night and the thing in the middle of nothing.
You added, I believe, because I haven't actually read Iain's book, unfortunately, but you did add the Oklahoma and musical element,
That's correct, yes.
Right? And why did you decide to introduce that element to the story?
Well, there are things that I changed about Iain's book that required me to spend more time in the high school than the book does. And I was trying to create the life of a high school with a janitor at night, and I thought there would be a play rehearsal. And then I thought about Oklahoma because it is a play that I was familiar with, and also I'd been in it when I was a little kid. And then when I started to rethink Oklahoma, I realized that there are a lot of sort of parallel themes in Oklahoma that are in the story I was telling. So it seemed perfectly suited for it. So that's where it came from.
One other element of this and Antkind is this real interest, or at least reference to film critics and film criticism. And, I mean, there's at length quotes in this of Pauline Kael, et cetera. And obviously B is a film critic. I'm wondering, is there, Rotten Tomatoes, I'm curious, is there a film critic that you beeline to and whose work you love, and why?
No, I don't. I mean, there are people I like, and but I don't like. There isn't anybody that I go to, and I did like Pauline Kael, when she was around, and I was young, but I haven't revisited her except for this in a really long time.
Was she right about a woman under the influence?
No, I don't think so. But I think that was the thing I was exploring, was that he was intimidated by her opinion, and he couldn't sit with his opinion because he felt like she was smarter than he was. So that was sort of what was at play there.
Who's this?
It's me.
No, it was me.
I tell you, I would misplace my own head if it wasn't screwed onto my own head.
How many times did you read it the first time you got this script from Charlie to sort of get your head around it? We can go with Buckley first.
Well, when I got it, I think it was like, one of those secret scripts that kind of explode after 12 hours. So I didn't have like, infinite time with sitting with it, which is probably a good thing. So I think I probably read it once or twice and then kind of saw what happened. So I went in to put myself on tape, but yeah.
Right. And what about you, Jessie?
I only read it once before I talked to Charlie, which did not feel like that was anywhere near enough, but I felt that I was in. And then after that, at least 10 times or so before we got there, and then just started to read it as much to get familiar with the dialogue. So
much dialogue, guys. I was watching those scenes. There must have been 15-page scenes. How did you guys handle like learning it all and then sitting in that car together for 2 weeks just getting through it?
Yeah, it walked around London with me quite a lot before I came over to New York. And actually, even before I came to New York, I had to get a visa, so I was like stuck in a limbo in Canada for about a week and had nothing else to do. So he kind of walked around Toronto for me for a while as well. And then you just got to leave it all and see what happens once you get to set. And I think if you have a kind of sense of where I didn't really know where I was going to be venturing, but things just start coming out of their own being once you get to set.
And Jessie?
We had moved into our new house not all that long before we got the script, and this was the longest period of time that we had actually been here. And we had so much just junk from the other place that had, piled up. And so I was like going through all this mostly just old trash while I was like sort of in the set stage, like old memories that, were tucked away in a drawer or whatever. And then, there was some talk. Someone thought they felt a presence in our house. And there was one night that I was looking at the script and saw like a reflection of something in the window. So my house was haunted.
Terrifying. What is it? I mean, how would you describe Charlie and working with him as a director? If you had to succinctly give another actor the idea of what they're going to be in for, how would you describe it?
He's the most like beautiful, vulnerable, gigantic, brilliant-minded friend that you can ever have on set. He's gorgeous in every way, and the most lovable man. And like everybody on set was like all the creatives, like from the crew and the props guys and like the lighting guys, they were willing every ounce towards Charlie for the sheer fact of what he created and what they were allowed to like work in, and to be muscular in it. And that was the feeling towards Charlie from everybody. Everybody willed the best for him because we all respect and love, and he's just an incredible human being.
I mean, everything Jessie just said, but I will say I don't know if I've ever seen, or you seldom see a crew from top to bottom that is this invested. I mean, we had a gaffer that got really sick, and he started to get a fever, and he told us and when he came back to work, that he was having these hallucinations, and
Oh yeah.
Jake and the young woman were in his hotel room, and then the like maggot infested pig was there. Oh, it's just like everyone was really
Yeah.
because of Charlie. You just it's so unique, and it affects everyone in such a different way, and you just want to give everything you have because he's so brilliant, obviously, but such a pleasure to work with. And I know everyone says that, but it's truer than it's ever been, you know.
We're stationary, and time passes through us, blowing like cold wind. Maybe this is how it was always going to end.